Hey everyone, just know that you can use the promo code BROADS for $20 off of your SeatGeek's total purchase, so make sure you get yourself to a game. It wasn't pretty. It definitely was not pretty, but I don't care what it looks like right now. It's October, and it's the second game of the season. What I'm impressed with is the Sixers left the Little Caesars Arena with a 117-111 win when it was sloppy, it was hideous, it was abysmal, and there was no Joel Embiid. So that plays a big-time factor in what this team has defensively and offensively. They were able to pull out the win. Al Horford slid to the 5, Kyle O'Quinn played valuable minutes and made impact plays as the backup center. Matisse Thybulle slid into the starting lineup. It was unique. It definitely was different from what we're used to seeing, but that's the beauty of what Elton Brand built with this roster. Last year, there was no chance in hell the Sixers would find ways to win if Joel Embiid couldn't play because there was no depth. There were no backup players. It's a completely different game, and it was such a hard watch early on. The Pistons were scoring in the paint so easily, and without Joel Embiid, it makes it a little easier for teams to succeed in that area. It puts Al Horford in a tough position. Does he help here? Does he stay with the guy rolling to the basket? It's super tough, right? But after that first half, players made plays. And there were a lot of players that made plays on the Sixers in this game, and that's what makes me proud. Tobias Harris in that third quarter, 16 points. The dude finishes with 29 and 7 rebounds. It looks like he made something happen after that payday. This is a game that you wouldn't have seen last year because Jimmy Butler would have had the ball in his hands all the time. Jimmy Butler would have been playing isolation ball. Jimmy Butler leaves. That opens up the door for Tobias Harris to have the type of night that he had tonight. He was draining threes. He was making plays happen. Fantastic third quarter specifically for Tobias Harris, but all around he had a fantastic basketball game. And the game was tied 83-83 after the third quarter. Mike Scott made big shots coming off the bench. He finished with 5 threes, 17 points. He was electric. But the fourth quarter was interesting to me. Ben Simmons didn't have this display of aggressiveness offensively like we saw in the first game against the Celtics. It definitely wasn't to that degree. He had spurts where he did go downhill a couple times to the basket, but overall, that's not what stood out to me. But late in the game, him and Al Horford in that fourth quarter played beautiful basketball. Al Horford drilled big-time shots. He was being a leader. The two-man game between Ben Simmons and Al Horford late, those are playmakers. Those are your go-to guys in those moments in the game, and they dominated it. Let's be real, they dominated it as Al Horford finished with 23 points, 9 and 5. What a stat line for the big man. Now, we know he played a lot of 5 in Boston. He seems like he was very happy to come to Philadelphia so he can play the 4 more. He understands he will have to play center at times, knowing Joel Embiid's health and knowing the load management goal we have for this season. But when he slid in that spot, he did what he needed to do late in the game. It wasn't pretty for him early. He wasn't knocking down shots all game long or anything. He struggled shooting early in the game, but when it mattered in crunch time, he knocked them down. And the Sixers made plays. So I talked about Kyle O'Quinn. He had a huge save where the ball was going out of bounds, and it leads to a Mike Scott 3 ball, which sparked this team insanely. Not only that, but he had a couple blocks as well. And this was all after he missed a 3 at the top of the 3-point line, and he was disgusted in himself, so instantly blocked, swatted, and that kind of juiced the team and gave the team jolt. Ben Simmons had 7 steals. Defensively, a weapon. 7 steals. There was a time where he traveled, and it didn't really look like a travel, but here's the refs calling the travel, and he was going to freak out, but Tobias came over to him and kind of patted him like, yo, calm down. So he didn't say much. On that inbound play, he stole it aggressive steal, runs hard to the basket, drops it off for a pass, and bang, Al Horford makes it. And the foul. That's a difference-making play. You're frustrated about the travel call. You put it behind you, and on the same inbound play, you be a leader, and you are aggressive, and you show your defensive intensity. That's what a leader does. Shake Milton knocked down shots that were big in this game. How about Shake Milton coming off the bench? I always talked about this with Shake. He's an off-the-ball guy to me. Let him space the floor. You can give him the ball, and he can dribble around and whatnot, but I don't like him at point guard. I like him at shooting guard. I like him at the 2, where he doesn't have primary ball handling, where he doesn't have to be the primary ball handler. And look what he did tonight. He essentially took over what I believe Brett Brown thought Furkan Korkmaz can do. Furkan Korkmaz is a trash bag. 3 fouls, 0 for 3 from the field. He looked horrible. And I know the logic of Furkan Korkmaz. He can space the floor. He's a guy who is a 3-point specialist. And once again, for the 1 millionth time, that is in air quotes when I say Furkan Korkmaz is a 3-point specialist, because he's not, because he can't shoot at a good clip. But that's what his, if we're playing 2K here, that's what his badge would be. So the logic is put him out there so he can space the floor a little bit. But he doesn't make it happen. And I can't imagine him having a long leash. I get trying it out early in the season. He worked on things in the offseason. His release is quicker. He added a little bit of defense to his game. So give him a couple tries here and there throughout the regular season in the beginning. But once you see this, the leash has to be so short that, nope, it's just not going to work. It's the same thing year after year. Sorry, Furkan Korkmaz, you're done. You're done here in Philadelphia. It's just that simple to me. Let's get to Matisse Thybulle. So, as I stated, he was in the starting lineup. Offensively, he's scared. He's afraid. He's lost. He's overwhelmed. And I get it. It's the second NBA game ever. There's nerves. There's an adjustment period. I'm not knocking the kid because I see the talent defensively. I still think he needs to work on some things defensively. What he loves to do is go behind people when he gets beat and he tries to make a play from behind the offensive guy. And I believe he needs to find ways to stay in front more. He does this from behind stuff a lot, and I don't know how long that can work and how successful that can be for the long run. You got to face up. You got to square up. You got to move your feet. You got to stay in front of these defenders if you're going to be very successful in this league. Once again, he's got great hands. His hands are so fast. They're so quick. They're big. He makes plays happen. I do love his defensive game, and he is going to grow into a elite defender in this league. There's just no denying it. I see the skill set. But I'm not a big fan of the behind the shooter plays that he tries to make all the time. Let's get to the offense, because he did hit a 3, but he traveled as he shot it, so they waved it off. After that moment, he got swatted by D. Rose at the 3-point line. Then he hesitated on a wide-open look, decided to penetrate, tried to make a pass, and it ended up getting stolen. So he made one, then he got swatted, then he hesitated, then he turned it over. There was a 2-on-1, and he gave it up quickly because I don't think he had the confidence to go up and make a layup. He gets the ball back. He tries to do a reverse layup and hits the under part of the rim. I don't think he knows where he's going with the ball at times, and I think he's a little nervous with the offensive side of the game, and it's a little bit more than I expected it to be. I knew he wasn't an offensive threat. People wanted to say, he can knock down his shots. He can. We've seen it. It's game speed now. It's the regular season. You're seeing legitimate athletes out there defending him. You can see he's a little overwhelmed on that side of the ball. And I'm not saying he can't get better at it. I'm not saying he can't grow and develop, because he can, and I think he will. But at this very moment, it hurts us offensively when it comes to spacing the floor. Neto got 6 minutes of run. Sixers Twitter is funny. Fans are screaming for Trey Burke. Brett Brown, what are you doing? I can't believe you're playing him over Trey Burke. Relax. It's game 2. He's just going to give people looks. This is the time where you let your players get some time and you figure out if they can play or not. You put them in the game. Trey Burke will have an opportunity. Neto will have more time. I'm sure, sadly, Furkan Korkmaz will get more time, but once again, I don't know how short or long that leash is. It should be very short by now because he's been here for so damn long, and it's the same thing, but Brett's just trying to figure out what is going to work. He has to put these players in the game at some point to just at least see, so he can watch film and study with his eyes, okay, will this player work or not? So don't get too caught up on Neto getting the 6 minutes instead of Trey Burke. Trey Burke will have a game where he gets a little bit of time. But think about what you're nitpicking right now. It's not that big of a deal at this very moment. You know who I was impressed with? Kennard. I remember watching him play in college. Nice shooter. He developed a little bit more this offseason. He looks bigger, if you will. His stature's a little bit thicker, and he's not afraid to go to certain areas where I didn't see him go to those areas before. He's not afraid to shoot. His confidence has reached a different level. Kennard seems to be a nice piece to the Pistons squad. Now, of course, they didn't have Reggie Jackson, Blake Griffin, which played a factor for them. I still thought they played hard. They had the energy behind them in the building. They have a team that will grind you out and give you 150%. They definitely will do that. But their skill lacks without Blake Griffin and without Reggie Jackson. And at the end of the day, that was the difference maker. Andre Drummond was probably pumped that Joel Embiid wasn't in the game. Although Joel Embiid said he was going to stop with the chirping and stop with the social media and put people on blast and stopping with all the humor that he has with certain players. So who knows if he would have been the same style that he was over the last few years with Andre Drummond if he was in the game at Detroit. This is what matters. The win column. You get your second. Our next game, Monday night in Atlanta against the Hawks. So we have one day off, and then we end up playing the Hawks on Monday night. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with this win because with how ugly it really was at times and how bad the first quarter or the first half as a whole got, they managed to come down the crunch time and knock down shots and make plays, develop opportunities, get good looks. They also made plays defensively. Like I stated, Ben Simmons, 7 steals. I mean, this is your leader, right? This is your point guard. This is your leader. He's bringing it defensively. Would I have liked to see the aggressive Ben Simmons more tonight? Yes, I would have. But I know from watching Ben for a couple years now here in Philadelphia, there's going to be games where he's going to be hot and aggressive and downhill the entire time. There's going to be more lackadaisical games. This was one of his lackadaisical games. He did have double-digit assists. He put up, I believe, 13 points. So, 13 points, 10 assists, 7 steals. He almost had a triple-double with steals. He did do one of his fadeaway jump shots as well. It was a little bit long, but he looks more confident with those shots. He does love the fadeaway ones, though. Loves the fadeaway jumpers. But, hey, if he's going to take them, I'm all here to watch him. I'm gladly going to sit there and watch him take any form of a jump shot right now. And he's mixing it in. See, when we were down in this game, 8, 9 points-ish, Sixers Twitter cracks me up, and I do keep an eye on it because it's funny to me how people react. I can't believe Ben Simmons isn't taking that jumper. That moment in the game, down 8, down 9, down 7, in that area, that's not when Ben Simmons is going to pull up jumpers. It's just not. When the Sixers have more security and when the moment isn't so high, that's probably when you're going to see Ben shoot them more, especially for his first, second, third legitimate jumper of the season. If the Sixers are down 10 and Ben Simmons just comes up on the floor, right? He's just dribbling up the floor and just pulls up randomly a mid-range jumper and say it hits the back rim and they get a rebound. As a fan, I say that's a bad look. I don't want that look right now. The Sixers are down. Can we get something better? Can we get a shot with a higher percentage? So you gotta realize and understand the situation and the circumstance. There's no way Ben Simmons, down 10 points, is just going to pull up a mid-range jumper in the back half of the third quarter nonchalantly. It'll probably happen when the Sixers are up 12 late in the third quarter, or up 14, 16. And from there, he'll gain more confidence. So, with that being said, a good W. Let's see what Joel Embiid's status will be moving forward. How bad is this ankle injury? We clearly believe it's precautionary and it's a long season and it's part of the load management thing. And yeah, probably is. But when will we see him next? Because I want to see this team full throttle. I want to see this team with everyone there. This game in Detroit, it was still fun to watch, but it's different when Joel Embiid is in the lineup because you see a different look. You see different sets offensively. You see a different team defensively. I want to see that. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.